extremely important that if and when that is initiated, that it is initiated properly, because failure to do so could have dire consequences.
Mr. Graves.
For the amount of water that the cities use, I think the average family uses, what, a half an acre foot of water. And there's really not that much water that that's going to affect a lot of us, as long as we don't keep selling it and doing those things. The only thing that I can't understand, and I'm going to say this, is that the problem that I have trouble with is that I couldn't understand if the water is running down a ditch, a canal, and all of a sudden the water that's sold to the farmer costs X amount of money, but the water sold to the city is 3 or 4 times higher. Why? If it's the same water, same ditch, same everything, why did the cities, why did the board make a decision to increase it to the cities?
Thank you. Mr. Cox.
Can I get the question repeated, please?
In an equitable distribution water plan, how will you guarantee water for new commercial and industrial development?
The district is going to have to look at what the cities are going to require. There's going to have to be some sort of calculation, and it may be that the cities will have to have some sort of cap on their usage, allowing for expansion. There may be some reclamation projects that need to be done. They're studying the potential of using reclaimed field runoff water for cooling purposes at some of the new geothermal developments. We're under a cap. We only have so much water. The farms are going to have an allocation to control the use on farm. There's going to have to be some sort of factor, some formula to provide the water for the municipal and industrial usages.
Thank you. Ms. Mendoza.
It's going to take the management of our resources in a professional, ethical way, and we have to make sure that ag gets the water it needs to keep on farming, because that's the backbone of the Imperial Valley. At the same time, we have to have water for economic development, and that means the geothermals and other industries coming in, and also the cities. The cities will continue to grow, so we have to make sure that they all get their piece of the pie, because the water is a public resource.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza.
Yes, the cities will have to be taken care of. Right now, all of the cities combined in the valley use about 40,000 acre-feet of the water of the 3.1. It's about 3% of the water used. So the cities will have to be covered on water. The farms at 3.1, they've got to be taken care of. Any industrial use, geothermal or whatever, we're looking at ways of conserving water. They're going to have to help pay to conserve that water. But the district is now looking an integrated resource plan on figuring out how to do those things. We're doing strategic planning, long-range planning. That's how we're going to take care of these problems. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another question for Mr. Gallegos, is that correct?
Yes, we do. And this is a 3-part question, so consider yourself very lucky. How much money should be spent on preserving or saving the Salton Sea? And what is your definition of preserving or saving in regards to the sea? And last but not least, where will that money come from?
Well, I was involved in the 160-acre limitation. I went to the Supreme Court back in the 1980. I was president of the board. The argument was at that time, and it probably still is, and that's probably where we're at now, is that, really who's responsible for the Salton Sea? Is the irrigation district responsible for it? Is the federal government responsible for it? Or the state of California? Nobody wants to take the lead. Everybody, we've been, I think when I was on the board, we kept giving money to try to save the Salton Sea. I'm an avid fisherman. I loved to go fishing, and if I could do it, but unfortunately, according to the federal government, it's a water runoff
Thank you. Mr. Cox?
One of the benefits, one of the few benefits from the water transfer in the QSA was that the state was mandated to pick up all costs associated with saving the Salton Sea above a certain amount, $133 million or so, that was to be picked up by the IID. My definition of saving the Salton Sea is trying to maintain habitat around the edges of it, utilizing our farm runoff water, control of the dust problem that's going to be caused by the exposure of salt playa as the sea shrinks. Where the money will come from, as I say, the bulk of it will come from the state. The first part will come from IID and San Diego County Water Authority. The federal government has a responsibility that they haven't stepped up and acquired yet.
Thank you. Ms. Mendoza?
Repeat the question, please.
How much money should be spent on preserving or saving the Salton Sea? What is your definition of preserving the sea? And, of course, where will the money come from?
How much money will it take? We're talking from millions to billions. To me, the restoration of the Salton Sea means that we not only take care of the critters and the environment, but we also take care of the people that live around the sea. There needs to be economic development for the businesses around the sea. If we form a partnership with the government and private industry, there will be money generated to restore the sea. What was the third part?
Where will the money come
Where
from?
will the money
Oh,
come from?
there you go. Economic development with public and private relationships.
Thank you. Mr. Minville?
Yeah, with the signing of the QSA, the Rural Irrigation District in San Diego and Coachella Valley are responsible for $133 million. After that, the state of California is responsible for the rest. The sea is a big problem. You know, they're trying to build a dike and do other things, and they're talking about billions of dollars. I don't think that's realistic. I think that everybody's going to have to come back to the table and figure out how to do this thing in a common sense manner. The important thing is we have some very vital farm ground on the southern part of the sea, and the IID needs to look at with other agencies building a dike there to protect that farm ground from blowing dust. We need to protect the crops and the farm ground. So certain things that we need to look at to take care of ourselves.
Thank you. Mr. Kuhn?
In the contractual obligations of the QSA, the state is responsible for taking care of the Salton Sea after $133 million. The San Diego County Water Authority, the Imperial Irrigation District, and Coachella Valley Water District will take care of the first 133, and the state of California, and I would like to reiterate, is contractually obligated through the QSA and the transfers with San Diego, contractually obligated to take care of the Salton Sea. I've heard this. I've heard 1,000 times that they think they're not. I don't care what they think they are or not. They are contractually obligated by provisions of the QSA to take care of the Salton Sea. Thank you.
Very good. We have a question that begins with Mr. Cox, is that right?
Yes. Mr. Cox, is the Salton Sea most valuable as a drainage sump or as a wildlife refuge?
It's a joint usage. It can obviously be a wildlife refuge and continue to be a drainage sump. It's been used that way for 100 years. We have to deal with the salinity issue, but there's ways to provide habitat around the edges of the sea as the water level declines. The district has said they cannot guarantee a certain flow of water into that sea because as our water use demands increase in the county and the on-farm use becomes constricted, more water will be conserved on-farm, less water will flow into the Salton Sea. But there are ways to develop habitat using the relatively fresh water that flows off our farms into the sea and save that habitat.
Thank you. Ms. Mendoza?
Yeah, I think it should be a combination of both. It should be habitat for the fish and the birds, and also provide the outlet for the drainage of the farmers here in the Imperial Valley. And it is possible to do that.